Creus Moreira from WiseKey with the cybersecurity panel and the Internet of Things. Carlos?
Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everybody. This morning we had a session on cybersecurity and IoT, where described basically what we call the fourth industrial revolution, which was the subject of the World Economic Forum this year in Davos, portrayed as being one of the #1 priorities for many countries. And this was later reflected in media and also in many of the government discussions that are happening in Davos. Actually, I was at that time running a very interesting cybersecurity table where we invited Kevin Spacey, the actor, and he gave himself his own views on cybersecurity because he was one of the victims of the Sony attack. And he had a very interesting views on how cybersecurity was important not only for big institutions but also for the media and entertainment industry. So this afternoon we have a very interesting panel, and it's a panel that can walk through different aspects of the cybersecurity, not only from the technology, which was covered this morning, but also for what security means in terms of the financial sector with Lina. Elena was actually also in the World Economic Forum before. Now she's in Barclays Bank and very active internationally, creating the awareness on cybersecurity and trust are important elements for running financial institutions. Then we're going to be also discussing with Jimmy on everything related to the cybersecurity practices, how cybersecurity is important for board of directors in corporations, how insurance companies are now looking at cybersecurity as one of the elements required for every serious company to adopt. And that discussion will bring us into the specifics on the practices. And then we're going to have David on privacy and data protection practices. We're going to work through him also on some important issues on data privacy, interrelation. Should we share cybersecurity information that we have in the companies with other companies? Is that something we should be doing or not? And later with Michael Miller, we're going to be discussing more profound issues on cybersecurity that maybe some of them were not at the beginning obvious for audiences which are not highly specialized, but we will develop that in a way then you will come with a very concrete idea on how cybersecurity relates to the infrastructure itself, the trust issues, the cryptographic issues, and areas like that. So maybe just to start the debate, and again, the way I normally like those roundtable is to be very open, and I'm on yourself also. If you have any questions that you think other panelists needs to reflect or to answer, you're most free to do it. So starting with Lina, suddenly out of the blue, banks start to invest in blockchain. I mean, and now Barclays is one of the leading ones, and you have now financial institution talking about trust. I mean, I come from Switzerland where basically we moved from trusting banks to the level of God to not trusting banks at all anymore. So why so important cybersecurity for banks, and why banks are investing so much now in areas related to next generation technologies such as blockchain?
Sure. Thank you, Carlos. So last year, Barclays has marked its 325th anniversary, and we often joke that we became older than the United States. So I think as an organization, we basically had two choices: whether we're going to be disrupted or whether we're going to try to embrace this disruption. And we chose to try to embrace this disruption. Right now, and of course financial services is one of the most competitive industries out there. We see that for instance in London, over 40% of the workforce is engaged in financial services and related industries. And at the same time, we also see, of course, that as we go online and as more and more people connect to the internet and expect their services to be available always online, 24/7, be convenient and fast, they also expect that those services are secure. And we realized that now security also became such a big part of what a bank or a financial institution sells. So basically it becomes like a part of a product, because if customers don't trust your product, they don't bank with you. It's very hard to keep, retain, and acquire those customers. So now for us, building this trust basically means four things. First, we want to enable security. And there's already a lot of data that shows that if customers don't think that your products are secure, they're very easy to be persuaded to switch to a competitor. So now security becomes a competitive advantage for banks and for financial services. The second is privacy. So if customers work with you, they expect that you secure their data properly. And if you don't, it's again a huge competitive disadvantage, and customers are very quick to leave. The third is convenience. You can of course, you can no longer build 100% security, but if you build cumbersome, slow products, also no one wants to use them. And so we want to make sure that convenience and user experience is also smooth in that process. And finally, it's speed to market. You cannot afford to take years, to build and roll out new products, because the digital life is very, very fast, and customers expect you to keep up with that. And they expect you to deliver personalized, highly secure, good services, and also do it quickly. Otherwise, again, they get frustrated. So I think those 4 components is what trust means for us. And the only way to retain the customers is through innovation. Because without innovation, it's just hard to maintain your position in the market. And I think those 4 components, coupled with innovation and all the new solutions like blockchain, are part of that strategy that we're trying to roll out.
And even using social media to attract new customers. Basically, the presence of bank lately on social media is very innovative. I will say this is one of the sectors that is innovating very, very fast on social media. So that's great. Thank you very much. And Jimmy, in terms of the I was in Washington at the Financial Times Cybersecurity Roundtable, and the main focus was how can we bring cybersecurity to the board of companies. Why still, despite the threats, despite the fact that everybody's getting hacked, or maybe it has been already hacked, boards are still very naive in terms of cybersecurity. So from your experience, what has improved in the last years, and what needs to be improved further?
Well, I think one of the things we're seeing improve is just awareness.
Okay.
Previously, I think it was not something that was top of mind for boards. And now, there's a lot of organizations that are pretty far behind others, but those that are really progressive and